Hi and welcome to RCKicks. On today's show, something a little bit different. Going to be talking about low cost budget transmitters and a little bit about receivers because they kind of come together. So what spawns this video? Well, my Hyper-VS is now fully finished apart from some rear springs that I've got to put on it, which will be done after this video has been edited. But I wasn't sure what I was going to use to control it. Now the main difference between this buggy and all the others are these are 1/10 and that's a 1/8. Also that's more basher buggy, so the weight of this is phenomenally heavy. There's a lot of metal on here and it goes very fast. So I was a bit concerned that from a safety point of view, while I'm out bashing this, especially if I've got the kids with me, I want to make sure I have full control over this all the time, and it's going to be quick. I don't know how quick, but I will soon because my GPS speed tracker has just turned up, so it'll be interesting to see. So I'm going to strap that in that, as well as we're going to do some more brushless stuff, but that's coming, and I digress. Anyway, so that put me on the hunt of what shall I get. Now there's a few things that I use. Here's some of the ones that I have in front of me. Normally I run, if it's a very vintage car, I run the traditional electronics for that, but I literally drive them in the garden or indoors and they don't really go very fast, and it's just purely to experience driving a vintage car that's completely original. But obviously they're not the best. But being that they don't go that fast, it's fine from a safety point of view and from a response point of view. So that's kind of spawned this video. But before I go any further, I just want to say to you, these are just my opinions. There's no scientific facts about this. Also, if you are a racer and you're looking for high resolution speed and things like that, that's not what this is about. This is just chatting about transmitters and receivers that I use for a lot of my cars that I'm just driving, playing around outside in the park or whatever, and I don't want to spend too much money, but I don't want junk. So this is kind of where I've sort of arrived with what I have. So most of my stuff I use this because I like running stick, but stick has died out dramatically, so there isn't that many around now. The reason I run this is because I have a little screen so I can control quite a lot of the setup, just like you can more with the more modern stuff. But also I can have 10 cars connected to it, so I don't have to have 10 of these. I've actually got 3 of them, but that's another story. One that's in this box which I run, and a couple of spares because they discontinued this. Damn you. The problem we have with this now is the receivers are getting very hard to find. Can you imagine you need one of these to maximum of 10 receivers? So when they come up, they're now sought after and they're expensive. Happy with the way it feels to drive this and everything like that, but I do notice now and again I get a little bit of interference, comes and goes. I've got quite a few receivers now, so some are slightly better than others. I don't know if they're deteriorating through age, I have no idea, but they just feel a little bit twitchy sometimes. So that took me away from this for my Hyper-VS. So I thought, no, I'm not 100%. So that moved away from that. So then it kind of took me down the road of, well, if I'm going to go for a trigger version, gun version, whatever you... I don't honestly know what the bloody hell these are called. Gun versions, trigger and wheel, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, I digress. So I have a few purely through purchasing cars that were used, secondhand, that kind of stuff. So I've got a few that I'll run through and my experiences with these controllers, what I like, what I don't like, and then where it led me down to purchase the 3PV, which is the Futaba one, which is basically what sparked this video because this is what's going to be running that monster. So this is my daughter's. This is just a code. I think it's about £35. She uses it to drive her, ooh, haven't even taken off the covers, look, to drive her, oh, what's it called, lunchbox. She drops it constantly, she bashes it, not bothered, and there's no screens on it. What I do like about this for her is it's got this knob where you can adjust it for steering angle. So I can turn the steering down to only be very gentle because she's only 5, so we kind of want to go in a reasonably straight line, and it seems to be quite bomb-proof. Quality is okay. Batteries in the bottom standard, feels alright. So yeah, but for £35 it puts it into other territory that is probably slightly better. And what I mean by that is this little puppy. Now this is a very popular remote that I'm sure a lot of you will already know, and it's the FS.GT3C, well, dot dash. This is very good value, brilliant, and I was contemplating buying another one of these, but I just fancied to try something else to see whether it was another step up or whatever, but I'll come to that later on down the line. Now, what I love about this, the receivers are dirt cheap, very small, they work, binding them is easy, and feels really nice, feels very solid. Has a screen on the top where you can go in and change everything you need to, from your trims to one of 10 cars that it has memory for, so you can set up all the names, the dual rates, the trims, ABS, endpoints, the whole shebang. What I don't like is, I do like the size of this, what I don't like is the resolution of this screen, and the interface sucks balls. You will spend ages trying to figure out which button does what, but eventually you'll get there and then you'll really like it. What I do like is on the outside here you have 4 buttons. So when you're out driving and you just want to trim something up just a little bit before you stop and start digging into the horrendously bad GUI interface, you've got steering left and right and trim, throttle and brake. So those are the main ones, so you can just, as you're driving along, just trim up and it's done, and then you don't really need to mess with this because you've set it up previously. So love it, absolutely love it. Another thing I really like, it came with a rechargeable battery in the bottom. This is a FS-BA 800 milliamp, 3.7 volts, and it charges through a USB. Even better, for a USB charger up in the corner. So you don't even need a special charger, you just get one of your cables, plug it in, leave it overnight, jobs are good. And love that, absolutely love that. And this is about £38. Can't go wrong, absolutely can't go wrong with it. And I would have bought another one, but I just wanted to try something a little bit different, and I thought it'd be quite interesting to make this video anyway. So that's that one. Then this one came with an Avanti. I didn't purchase this one new, but I thought it'd be worth a mention. I don't know if this is still being made or not. I'll put a comment below letting you know whether this is still available or not. I honestly don't know, but I quite like it. Feels quite good. Plastic is nice and strong, doesn't feel too cheesy, doesn't flex too much, whereas some of the others are a little bit more flexible. I think this has a niche appeal because there's people out there who hate these screens, that hate the GUI interfaces and the filliness and the pain in the ass and the reading the manual and trying to figure out where you are when you just want to set an endpoint. After you've learnt it, they're great. But then the problem is you might not use this one for a few months because you'll be using other cars, and then you go back and you've bloody forgotten it. So if you are one of those people, this is just as good as this, but without the screen. But then how do you do all your things? It has mechanical dials. So if you don't like working on software, mechanical dials are your friend because they all make sense. You just twist that and that adjusts your steering trim, your throttle trim, your directions, your reverse servo, everything is on here, and your on off button. So if you don't like that, this is great for you. And you can also add a rechargeable battery in the bottom, just like this one, and then you can charge from the charging point here. Also, it's got something called DSC. I have no idea what that is, so put a comment below. I haven't googled it or anything, but it's got like a phono jack in So I'm not quite sure what that is. I'm sure someone will know and put it in the comments below. But great, absolutely great. And I hope they still make it, because there will be people who would rather have this than this. I don't think you can run more than one car at a time, so that will obviously be limiting you, because you don't want 5 of these for 5 cars. But if you want one and you're looking for a reasonable one, I don't know the price of this. I'll put it below. I'll go and Google it afterwards, but it was worth a mention. Then we have the Traxxas TQ Top Qualifier. I was going to say top quality. Top Qualifier. Absolute dribble. Don't rate it at all. Cheesy as anything. Comes as a part of my Traxxas TRX4. I swapped it out for basically this, and I think I used it. I think I put it on something else. You can't do anything really. It's bound to just one car, and this feels okay. But yeah, this will kick this. Yeah, so don't go looking to buy one of these. If it's second hand, I would still buy one of these. So don't rate this low quality one at all. Don't think it says a model number of this one. It doesn't, but it's the one that came with the basic Traxxas TRX4 Sport, so it doesn't have the extra buttons on it. Then, because I was going to go down this road, but then I decided I'll try something new, I picked up the Futaba, because I thought, well, a little bit better quality, the receiver will be a little bit better, also it does channel what's it called, channel skipping. After having it for a while, I took it out of the box and I thought, yeah, this one has no worse from a build quality point of view than this one. This one is a bit more gaudy and does look a little bit more cheap looking. Not that I don't like the style, but obviously it says look at me, where this is a bit more professional, understated kind of look. And I like the way that you've got this swoopy section on the front. But quality wise, the wheel is better than the FSG T3C. Only marginally, just a little bit better. So I'll give it that. But the trigger, no difference whatsoever. Also, I was very disappointed that you can put a rechargeable battery in here, but they are insane. £35, £36. That's a lot of AA batteries, and don't forget, this came with it for free. So we're already at £100 versus 35, 36. So £140 to get a little bit closer to this is really hard to justify. Now, the other thing was the screens, what it feels like to do all the trimming and all that kind of stuff. Well, no difference whatsoever. This is no better or worse than this one. I found them both to be completely pants, not intuitive, very archaic. Screen resolutions are rubbish, and we should expect more, especially from this one. From that side. As for the receiver on the Futaba is much bigger as well, and a lot more expensive, coming in at about 30. I bought 2 more, coming in at about £32 each. Whereas the FlySky ones are a lot cheaper and a lot smaller. I haven't taken it out, run it yet, but I have run this where to the point I can barely see the car anymore, and that is enough range for anyone. If you can't see the car because it's too far away from you, that's enough range for anyone. Unless you're doing speed runs. If you speed run it, well, obviously you want the car as far up as possible, and then you're going to run past you at 120 mile an hour. You probably want, if you're going to do stuff like that, you probably want to spend a bit more on the electronic stuff. But different needs, different people. So as controllers are very personal because of what you use your cars for and your own personal opinions, I threw this one out to RCKicks Facebook group, and I got some really good responses. So I'm going to read out some of the responses, and I'm going to talk about what they said and elaborate on that a little bit. So the first one is Berry. Berry from Hong Kong, very experienced RC guy, I know him very well. He says, if budget buy, I would take the RadioLink RC4GS. Don't know anything about that. I will post a picture up here and maybe a bit of specs down here because I'll go and Google it in a little while. Being who it's coming from, I would take that as probably a good recommendation, being that he's owned lots of cars for a long period of time, so he would have experienced using a lot of receivers. Action Australia, he writes, I highly recommend the FlySky GT3C. This one basically. Remote and receiver. You can program 10 receivers, 10 cars on one remote. From memory, the remote and XR combo was $65 Australian, and additional RXs were $9 each. Fully adjustable and by far top value for a beginner or racer. Yes, I highly agree. These are bang for buck, fantastic. Peter writes, I really like my FS.GT3B, same again, but I modified it to use a LiPo. Yeah, you can change it and change the battery, things like that. Again, so another person who's a big fan of the FlySky. Then we have Mark. Mark says, totally recommend the FlySky FS-I6S. Receivers are cheap and the touchscreen setup is ace and easy to use for around £50. Now, that's probably the first recommendation I've got, that the actual GUI is good. So I'll put some more information about the FlySky FS-I6S, put a picture up here and some more information about it. It might be worth checking out if you struggle with screens. I honestly don't know, I've never seen it, but he seems to recommend it. Martin, I have the Coulson Reflex wheel and stick system. Both have been fine for me and cheap as chips. So there we go. But overall, looking at the comments, the one that seems to be winning everybody's hearts, bang for buck, is this. So, based on everybody else's recommendations and my personal ones, I would say if you're looking for a budget, good quality, does pretty much everything you need it to, apart from the GUI is a little bit rubbish and you'll have to invest a little bit of effort in it, get one of these. And I have to say, I agree. Don't spend the extra money and get a Futaba. Stick with that. So there you go. Not that I'm going to post any links to any commission based or anything like that. It's purely just a bit of fun so I can have a chat with you guys and pass on a little bit of what we find together. If you're looking to purchase one of these or any of the others, you can find them all on eBay. I'll put links to what they all are in the descriptions, and you can get them from all over the place. You can get the Futaba from just about everywhere, and same for this one I'm sure, and I've seen hundreds of these on eBay as well, and there's lots of other companies. This is a little bit harder to find, does come up on eBay now and again, but if you're starting out and you haven't got these already, don't bother. For two reasons. One, adding receivers now, when you just buy one of these and you get one receiver and you've got other cars, and two, I want the receivers, so don't buy these, because that means you'll be competing with me to buy the receivers and you'll make them more expensive. Anyway, thanks very much. I hope to see you on the next one. Bye bye. Oh, don't forget, head over to Facebook, put those comments, add your comments below. Was this useful? Load of rubbish? Did we miss any really gems or anything like that from the receiver world? Put it all below. Thanks very much. Bye bye.